I was wondering if we could get like quicksand spots put on the maps.
Welcome to Dirt Magic, a podcast chronicling the Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship's mission of building sustainable recreation-based communities through stewardship, job creation, and world-class events, providing quality outdoor experiences through trail construction and maintenance in the Lost Sierra. I'm your host, Martin Scheel. Our guest today could be labeled as prospectors of dirt magic, from digging deep into virtual trails to digging dirt on the trails, and exploring a bit deeper to search for that ever-elusive vein of gold. Maybe not gold in its traditional sense, but just as valuable nonetheless. They have a plan. It could even be called a master plan. And after a long day of prospecting and planning, these two good people of the SBTS take the time to educate folks on how to survive an encounter with quicksand. Yep, quicksand. I would like to introduce SBTS Director of Grant Management, Michelle Abramson, and SBTS Charitable Giving Coordinator, Gina Achilles. Gina and Michelle, welcome to Dirt Magic. So thanks, ladies, for joining us here on Season 2, Episode 2 of Dirt Magic, the podcast. And let's start off with some introductions on who you are and what you do. And Gina, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for the stewardship.
Well, my name is Gina Achilles, and I'm the Charitable Giving Coordinator, which means my general job is to get people engaged with the stewardship one way or the other, either through donations or volunteerism, and just get people excited about what we're doing. And I'm excited about what we're doing. When I moved up to Quincy about 15 years ago, Main Street was like, it was popping, but over the years it really declined. And only recently, when Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship has been doing stuff locally and trying to connect these communities and making trails, has there been just like an influx in tourism and just in the economy in general. And I'm super stoked to be able to be a part of this because I'm really passionate about making a better, life for my family up here.
So 15 years in Quincy, where'd you hail from prior to that?
I started out on the Central Coast. I grew up in San Luis Obispo. It's such a mouthful. It's okay. You can leave that in. I moved up here because the rent was cheaper.
Boy, the rent is definitely cheaper here. My in-laws live in the Pismo area, and we go down and have fun in Pismo and Cayucas and Avila. And when you just kind of come across one of the either home for rent or home for sale, and then you see how many zeros it has behind it, you're like, yeah, right. Give me a break. Well, that's cool. So, how did you even find out about the stewardship prior to even applying to come work for us?
Well, I've always been a big fan. I think Grinduro was my first real introduction to what was going on. And I've always liked to go hiking with my husband and our family. So I would go and hike the Cascade Trail and then South Park. And so just knowing what you guys were doing with that was kind of just the inciting incident. And just kind of been following the story ever since. And then something came open and I went for it. And now you're stuck with me.
Yeah, we are. Well, that's a good stick on that one because we definitely needed someone of your experience, skill, and enthusiasm towards it. And just like you said, that trail system alone is just awesome. It's a few minutes from where most of us live. If you live here in Quincy and you can get out there quick, even when the weather's bad, it's still low enough elevation to enjoy those with the family for sure. So
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
So Michelle, so where do you hail from? How'd you find out about the stewardship? And boy, what brought you to us?
Well, my name is Michelle Abramson. I am the Director of Grant Operations at the Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship. So I manage all the grants, of course, but then that also just involves a lot of trail project management. I actually hail from, I grew up in Jakarta, Indonesia, actually. So a really big city.
Just a small jaunt to get here to Northern California.
Yeah. But yeah, it's probably, I think at the time I lived there, it was one of the top 5 biggest cities in the world. And that was probably the most, I loved living there, but that was probably the biggest thing I didn't like living there, was how big the city was and how claustrophobic it was. So when I was growing up, I was like, I always want to move somewhere where there's not many big buildings and there's a lot of open space. But I was first introduced to Quincy by Trinity Sterling. We were in college, and she took me up here, and I saw the house that she grew up in. And then my husband was, he was at grad school in UNR, and we kept thinking about Quincy and moving back to Quincy. And one of the big reasons that made us very focused on trying to get a job in Quincy and move to Quincy was all of the mountain bike trails that were coming in here, especially like the Mount Huff trail system. So I definitely, now that I'm part of that world, I see how powerful it is. It got me to move here, and it's made me want to bring other people into the fold as well.
So did you expect to have as much fun with GIS when you came in? Because about that time when Trinity was leaving, our GS coordinator, he actually had moved on to a new position too. So you kind of came into a pretty big open canvas.
I will say that like my career was kind of like I was trying to get a different kind of job. And so then I went and got my GIS certificate, and it changed my career options. It was ever since that I was like started getting into the NEPA world, and that kind of led me to this job. So I actually kind of like GIS. I don't hate it. It can be pretty bad and like frustrating sometimes, but I welcome the jump into the GIS world, especially with trails. It's more fun with trails than, mapping being big mines or something like that.
Well, plus, at least you get to get outside, too. I know a lot of GIS people, where they live in a dark cave, all the files are sent to them, and they never get to go outside and experience it. It's all satellite-based and on a computer, and otherwise they would never even know what the trail was like.
Right, yeah. It looks so different from, like, on the computer, and then I go out in person, and it's so powerful to do both. So, yeah, I'm lucky I get to do that.
Well, and speaking of powerful, the Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship has a very powerful legacy program right now called Connected Communities. And that's the impetus of today's show. Not so much the entire program itself, but what's called the Trails Master Plan. And before Michelle gets into the Trails Master Plan, what it is, we should probably get a good one-liner on what Connected Communities is.
All right, Connected Communities, there's probably several of you guys who've probably already heard about it. We've been talking about it for a while now. Connected Communities and Trails Master Plan kind of go hand in hand. The idea behind Greg's brainchild, Connected Communities, is to connect 15 mountain towns through single track trail, with the idea that it would not only, bring more recreational opportunities to these communities themselves, that it would also help boost local recreational economy.
So, and then the Trails Master Plan, obviously, this is a big portion of it, but what is it? I mean, Connected Communities, obviously, that's a broad spectrum legacy program. It's about economic development, it's about building trails, connecting communities, obviously, helping local businesses, and even, maybe in the future helping, our fire, prevention system as well. But what is the Trails Master Plan? And yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's such a great question. And I've been asked this more and more recently, and I've been trying to describe it concisely. So hopefully I don't ramble on too much, but, the Trails Master Plan is essentially, it's a conceptualization of what a large scale trails project, would look like. Everything in it would take, everything that we should consider, just all aspects how the trail connects, these towns and what that means. I kind of like to picture it like a big funnel. Like Greg started off with hey, let's build all these trails. And we started off with that idea and kind of went to okay, how do we make these trails? Where do we put these trails? Why do we put these trails there? Who owns that land? Who manages that land? What would it take for them to allow us to put these trails? What should the trails look like? All of that is part of this bigger Trails Master Plan.
So, obviously this sounds like a blueprint. Obviously you can't just go out and, Connected Communities, Greg's vision, especially when he was at that conference, obviously is this is a 10-year plus project, for the stewardship and all these communities that are involved. And you can't just go out and dig dirt. Obviously, most people know that now. In the olden days you could, but there are a lot of components that have to come into play to even before you can put a shovel to dirt. So, for this Trails Master Plan, what does it really mean to the community, to people, to the public? What are the main components that they should be, most interested in?
It's a good question, and I think it kind of changes with each community. for example, I just recently met with the Rotary of Loyalton Club, and you could tell a big passion of theirs is getting people into the main street of Loyalton, getting that economy downtown. I think the other things I've heard a lot are people who just want to have more opportunities to get out and take their dog on a walk, or have more places to ride their horse or ride their bike or just even hike. So I think it's different for each person. But trails, they're really powerful in all the things that they can do for people in a community. So I think, hopefully we can bring all of those things to everybody.
Well, I know, I mean, we're getting close, and and we're going to talk a little bit about that later on in the show. But, this isn't free. This costs money. And, before a single shovel even hit the dirt, this Trails Master Plan, I assume, has a price tag to it.
Yes.
And what is that roughly? I mean, just give us a broad stroke number, do you think?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I can tell you it's above $5 million.
Wow.
And I would say that every single time we make a change and I reevaluate it and the number changes. So it kind of changes all the time.
And that's a big number. And I know that the Connected Communities Project, if we had to put a price tag on it today, it could be in the tens of millions of dollars, easily, probably upwards of 40 million, which is a number that almost sounds impossible, and I know we don't like to use that number because it's very scary. And for most people, it's not realistic because, and they think about their donation, what it means towards $40 million. You're like, man, well, that sucks.
Yeah, I should say I did get that wrong. It is 50 million, not 5 million.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. You said, I realized I forgot a zero.
Yeah. Hey, it's still a lot of zeros anyway. So, but I know that we break this down into different components, just like you do with any job. I mean, there's design, engineering, environmental. There's the actual work. There's overhead and admin behind it. But the Trails Master Plan itself, I mean, obviously this isn't something that we could have just engaged and said, hey, we're going to do this, without at least some guarantee of early funding. And I know we got some. And where'd that funding come from?
Sierra Nevada Conservancy. I think Greg talked about that in the last podcast, but they were the first to raise their hand and say, yeah, we want to help you do this. They're the ones who have funded the Trails Master Plan itself, which is a project that is ending next year with the publication of the Trails Master Plan. Which we are so looking forward to. And, obviously, much of what the stewardship does, our funding is generated by, donations, the events we do, government grants, private grants as well. But what really lands on the shoulders of our donors is just kind of a realistic expectation that their money is going to something important. And when you use big millions of dollars, like I said earlier, it can get lost. But when you put things into perspective, that this particular portion of the project may cost $100,000. Well, now somebody donating even $1,000. I mean, that's significant because if 100 people did that, well, there we go. We've got it. Or you get some big donors, and there's some big numbers too. And Gina, that's where you've really come in and taken over because, obviously we've got some longtime corporate partners and I've been lucky and had the pleasure to deal with some of them for decades, and they get it. It's automatic. When the money's there, we get the money. But something that we never really did at a good level was put our hand out and make a big ask. The membership fees, $5, $10 a month, or donating $50 a year to become an SBTS quote member. That was one thing, but literally reaching out and asking people for $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $100,000 if they can. That's really landed squarely on your shoulders, and to me, it's a hard ask, but you've been successful at it.
Yeah, well, I think almost everybody that I talked to is just so excited to work with Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship and to fund what we're doing. And I get to tell my husband when I come home, I'm like, everybody that I talk to is just so happy to be able to help out with this and give, whatever they can in order to support this. I mean, even if we break it down further, the $5 a foot, you can feel like you're actually accomplishing something and that you're actually giving something that's going to make an impact, even if it's just a foot of trail. So, I mean, I feel really lucky that I have such an awesome, organization to ask money for, because it doesn't really feel like I'm trying to sell something. People are excited about what we're doing, so I'm lucky in that respect. It's been easy.
And every dollar counts too. So yes, definitely for those out there in listener land, make sure you connect up with Gina. She'll get you pointed in the right direction. And yeah, it's them. It's, you help them find a way to make these programs possible, within the stewardship, anywhere from just our everyday operational funding to our Adopt a Trail program, helping out with maintenance on trails. And someone's simple donation of even $500 could go to buy 100 people lunches, to get out and dig dirt on one of our volunteer weekends. So it really is. Every dollar is important, and we certainly couldn't do it with all of you listening now, but we definitely have to have talented people to help kind of connect those dots. Not only on the work side, the design side, but the fundraising side, because if we can't pay the bills, it's going to be a really short legacy project.
Well, and private donations do support our grant operations too. We wouldn't really be able to go after a lot of the grants that we do if we didn't have, unrestricted donations as well. So it's going really far. It does a lot more than you think, that $5. So
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because most people with governmental, especially governmental grant funding, think that it's free. You get a grant. It's kind of like that old, going to school and here's some free money for college, which is pretty rare these days, I think. But, the only thing you had to do was go to school and just have a passing grade. But a lot of the grants that we receive, there's this little word called match. And it's either be volunteers digging dirt, getting dirty, working hard, which has monetary value to it, or it literally is a monetary match. So our grants aren't free by any means.
Well, and there's even the time before that to write them, to go after them, to find them. So
right, I think
it's all over.
That's something I've noticed just now that I'm in this grants world and going to conferences and meeting other people. I noticed that Sierra Buttes is really lucky to be one of the few organizations that is able to pay for my time to look for more grants and write grants. And some of these grants that I write take weeks to write, and they can be really detailed. And even manage the grants themselves, because they'll pay for the work, but they won't pay to manage the grant, and they can ask for a lot to make sure we're doing what we said we were going to do. So yeah, it's huge. I feel well supported.
Well, and even, like the Trails Master Plan, and even a lot of the grants that are going to allow us to do some environmental and literally dig dirt. Once you get the approval letter, do we get the check the next day? Does the money get deposited in the account?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
Not often enough.
Not very often. Yeah, if that happens, it's not a big sum of money. But yeah, so the bigger sums of money they want, and I understand they want pictures and just hear what we were doing, and it's kind of great. Despite the fact that I have to, spend all the time at a computer doing it, it's really great to show off everything that we're doing, because I'm really proud of the work that our pro crew does out on the trails, making dirt magic.
Well, and as a nonprofit too, it's not like we're a foundation that's been around, for 100 years that has an endowment, that interest is constantly being pulled, to pay for the bills, and the endowment's large enough to where if you did have to write a big check to match a grant, you could easily do it. And for a nonprofit like ours, that could be scary, especially if you had to write a check of $20, $30, $40, maybe even $50,000, or you're paying for that initial work to be done. You may be $50,000, $75,000 into the project before you receive that grant money. And Gina, that's where the charitable giving really does make a huge impact.
Yes, if you're interested in providing us with an endowment, please reach out and let me know. That would be amazing.
Hint, hint. Uh-huh. There we go. Well, with all that being said, I think our listeners kind of have an overview of where we get to the point of the Trails Master Plan. And there's obviously design. There's a lot of work to get done. But Michelle, just real quick, with this Trails Master Plan, from start to finish, most people think, we just design it, we go out and send some people out, put some flags on some trees, we talk to some environmental folks, and then build the trail. But maybe give us a little more concise, all the work that has to happen before you can even put a shovel to dirt.
Right. Well, that wasn't a bad description of it. I would just multiply it a couple times. Right. So we kind of broke it down to these 4 phases: phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Phase 1 is what we call the planning or the pre-planning phase. That is a lot of walking trails or drawing trails on a map, walking those trails, just coming back, drawing more lines on the map, walking those trails. And it's a lot of, talking to people and seeing like, hey, these trails are going to be in your backyard. What do you want to see out of trails? What kind of is your perfect recreational idea of what these trails need to give to you? So that's kind of the planning phase. We have smaller projects with the planning phase, but the largest one, of course, is the connected communities. That is the trails master plan. That was the planning phase of that. So obviously 550 miles of trails of a planning phase took us several years, and got this document, 60 plus pages of just the trails master plan, and then 8 appendices on it. So lots of work. So the trails master plan is a great example of a very well thought out, detailed result of phase 1. And as we go into this end of this year, we are in the final stage of the trails master plan. So we're finishing phase 1 of the connected communities. So we're obviously very excited about that. Then we move on to phase 2. So phase 2 is our environmental review phase, or sometimes we'll call it the NEPA-CEQA phase. Those are the federal and state permits that we need to work through to get these trails built.
This is the really short and cheap phase, correct?
I want to optimistically say maybe someday. Maybe
there's probably some expletives that actually are going through Michelle's brain right now too.
Yeah. Well, NEPA and CEQA is super frustrating and expensive, but I always see it, and maybe this is just me trying to like keep my mind together, but I always see it as like an important, necessary step, because I wouldn't want anything done to my public land without very thought out planning. I want to make sure, we want to make sure that we're not doing anything that is impacting resources that is our public land and this beautiful natural resource that we are so lucky to have. So that's the bread and butter of this phase 2, but usually the steps it involves are, again, very much, so we start off, we talk with the land managers, we get their initial thoughts, they kind of help us develop what kind of resources it could affect, and then we go out, we ground truth it. We come back, we do like a desktop review to see if there's any known resources, we make realignments, we ground truth again. Often then the forest ground truths it, and they come back and see there's often realignments. We find things like, oh, you can't use this road because of some regulation, so we have to make changes, little things like that. And then finally, hopefully, we get to the resource survey part. They resource survey, they walk the lines. If they find anything, we have to realign or find any mitigation measures.
And they're looking for a multitude of things, from
right.
Cultural resources that could be
yes.
impacted, of course, flora, fauna, animals,
yep.
Plants. I mean, all kinds
right.
of things.
Yeah, exactly. The type of resources gets decided in that phase as well. So they first kind of evaluate what are the probable resources to survey, and then we survey for all of those. Sometimes that involves realignments, and then we ground truth again. So it gets repetitive. I think I was just looking at the Sierra Valley Recreation Project, which is a project that is currently in phase 2. I was looking at all of the alignments that we've had since October when it kind of kicked off, and it was probably like 15 different changes, and some of them were small, some of them were big, and I imagine that we're going to go through another 10 before we get a final alignment. So it's kind of very like back and forth, getting everything down.
And time and money.
Right, exactly. But yes, as time consuming and money consuming as it is, it feels really good. Then when you get through it, like the Claremont is a good example of something that we're ending that environmental review phase. And it feels really good to know that we've evaluated everything and have made sure our trails don't impact anything that we know of. So yeah, that it comes with positive results, that you actually get something that you're proud of at the end, which is nice. And then you go into phase 3, the construction phase, which is obviously like my favorite phase, because then we get to start actually building these trails. And of course, they're going to look a little different too from the alignments that we ground truth, because there's a lot of things that happen on the ground that are different. But yeah, that's Mount Huff is an example of a project right now that's in phase 3, the construction phase. Beckworth one is another one. It's almost done.
So, when you're talking about these phases, so Claremont, which we're pretty excited about, that's here in Plumas County, right here in Quincy area. When did the Claremont project first start? what year?
I think 2019. I wasn't at Sierra Buttes at the time, so I don't want to. Hopefully that's the right number, but yeah.
So, I mean, here we are 5 years in,
right?
And not a single shovel has hit dirt yet.
Yep.
But we're 5 years into this project.
Yes.
And 5 years of spending money.
Yeah, exactly.
Gina,
yep.
yes, you do have a big job.
Well, it's an investment. It's an investment in your community.
Absolutely.
It's an investment in your forest. It's an investment, in the people that live here. So it's a worthwhile investment, and it's definitely going to pay off in the long run.
And Beckworth Peak, I mean, that started in the early 2000s. And here we are. We've got just about a mile left of tough trail to build. But, here we are nearly 2 decades later, and it's almost done. So that gives you the idea of the scope of a project that's total, 13 miles? I mean, if you include down into town, roughly.
Yeah. And it's kind of an example of how everything is so different. Because I don't know, I also wasn't there for the beginning of that project, but that decade, not all of it was an environmental review. So Claremont, in theory, is actually a lot faster and is an example of a fast environmental review project.
Well, we've learned as an organization too,
Yes,
and maybe some of the pitfalls had to stay away from, and of course have hired great people like you two, and put some of us older fogies out to a little bit of pasture that they can still talk on a microphone in an event, but don't let them get too integrated in the important stuff for sure. OGs, as some of us are called. Yes, I know that was horrible.
Oh, Marty.
Yeah. So. Obviously our listeners are getting a good idea of, what it takes, what a trails master plan means, what these projects can mean from start to finish, or at least to the point where it's being constructed. And then of course you've got, maintenance that goes on in perpetuity. But, the trails master plan itself on a project such as Connected Communities, we need to do a little more than just a podcast or even social media. Because, we're reaching a certain amount of people, but some of the communities that this plan directly affects, we need to reach out to more people. And we've got a little plan on the table to do that. And what is that plan?
We do have a little plan on the table. It is our Connected Communities Trails Tour. So we're going to be going to different breweries and restaurants within the Connected Communities footprint and hosting an event where we talk about what we've been doing. We give them the Trails Master Plan to look at. We're going to have maps. It's going to be great. We're going to have posters and some merch, and we'll be there to answer some questions and talk about what we're doing. We're also inviting a lot of our local stakeholders and other sort of groups that are involved, whether they be, biker groups or moto groups or other environmental groups that have collaborated with us and support what we're doing. But we're just really excited to be able to get out in the community and present to them this plan that has been such a big undertaking, and finally be able to show it off and say, hey, look we've got a plan. Maybe you could help us out. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be starting off here in Rich Bar Tap in Quincy on May 11th. And then on National Trails Day, we're going to be at the Brewers Cabinet in Reno. And actually Kurt is going to be doing kind of a pre-party ride. So if you want to meet up with him on that.
And that is the ASS, Angry Single Speeder, and also known as the Trail Whisperer, Mr. Kurt Gensheimer.
And I think he's got his own podcast, So
oh, yes, he does.
Maybe we get some cross promotion there.
Yeah, you listening to us, Gensheimer? I'm sure Mind the Track needs to. You need to get Gina and Michelle on there as well.
Anyway, so it's going to be a really fun time, and there's going to be lots of other events you can check out on our website, and you see when we're going to be coming to your community. And if you want to come and join us, have a beer and chat about trails. So.
Beer and food. See, I'm sold already.
I know.
And maps.
And maps.
And maps, yeah. Hey, who doesn't like maps?
I'm excited about the maps.
Yeah. Maps are great.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely, it gives people a chance to visualize, talk to each other. It doesn't feel like it's in a medical, environment, where it's like a conference of you're just so focused on it, you can't really see the fun in it, and that's what I'm excited about the tour, obviously, because this really puts some fun in it. And community outreach has been one of the largest components of the Connected Communities Project. And, unfortunately, the universe gave us a pandemic, which, significantly, tied us up. These big, large community barbecues we wanted to do ended up being, 15 to 20 people, 6 feet apart, masks on, sometimes standing outside in the snow, looking at a map and having the first involvement. So this will be nice to where all of that information has been brought together, and much of it from the very community members that were going to be visiting their community, and hitting up one of their bars or restaurants or brew pubs. So now they get to see the fruits of their labor and discussion paid off in a fun way. So I mean, I'm excited. This is going to be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. I like to I like to think that we started this whole thing by asking everybody in the community what they wanted, and I like that we're ending this Trails Master Plan by asking what they think about what we've come up with. I think we've made a lot of changes that community members brought to us. Like the recreation zones is an example. And if you guys don't know, the recreation zones are areas that we are planning to have closed loops trail systems, kind of more trails in one place rather than trails that connect different communities. That was an idea that came out of the community engagement. People wanted more trails just right out so they could go get on their lunch break and ride a trail. So your comments and your questions definitely have an impact on what we're doing.
Well, it's and please and for those of you that can attend any one of these, and Gina, what's the best way for them to find the schedule for this tour?
Check out our website or our social medias. They're posted on there. There are also going to be posters around. Or you can email me and I'll tell you where they're going to be.
So definitely plan on coming to one of these if you can, if we're going to be close enough to you, because it gives you an opportunity, obviously, to talk to Gina and Michelle, one, about how you can help support us, and like we said, every dollar counts. So, charitable giving, philanthropy is a major component of how we create Dirt Magic. Michelle and others, depending on which locations, will be there to answer questions too. So you can really get all the meat and potatoes of the program. Please join us. And it is the Trails Master Plan that you're going to be learning about. But where is the Trails Master Plan now? It's got one final little hurdle, and then what happens to it? It becomes official. But what does that mean?
Well, so I guess the last hurdle, I wouldn't say is a hurdle, but we're going through like a review stage. So we've given it out to our land managers and then the review of the public itself. So this is what the Trails Tour is part of, is making sure we give them a chance to give their input. And then we're planning on publishing near the end of the year. So the Trails Master Plan will be published and ready. And I think already when we sat down, it was Trinity Sterling previously who sat down and kind of was tasked of what should a Trails Master Plan look like. She didn't have too many examples that kind of fit our needs. So you called it a blueprint earlier, and that's a perfect way to describe it. We're hoping that this is like a first example, a blueprint that other people who want to do similar things in their communities can kind of use to have a little bit of a further step up than we had.
And if you're still stuck on beer and food, then a recipe book works the same way too. It's a recipe for success, in your community moving forward. I mean, but that's what it is. When you say publish too, I mean, it kind of becomes part of the documentation of the federal government or the Forest Service.
I don't know about that.
No? Yeah. It sounded good. I just wanted to say that. Yeah. Because publishing always sounds good. I'm published.
It's it's a published plan that will have sign off by some people. But to get it to be a federal plan, that would be really difficult.
Yeah, I bet. Well, a published plan in and of itself, I mean, I think that we continue to have our success stories, and we're working on some of the pitfalls, and that by the time that maybe we're halfway through our Connected Communities project, the Trails Master Plan, other folks will have opened it up and started in their communities, and I think that success breeds success, and I think with charitable giving, same thing. Keeping up with the Joneses, when communities say, hey, I'll be a part of this. I can, I need a nice tax write-off. I mean, I wish I needed a nice tax write-off to give a big check like that. But I think that becomes important for other communities too. We've got a kind of a stewardship partner back in North Carolina, Piscasorba. And they're doing great work too, and they've been super excited about the Connected Communities program. And I think we'll continually see, these organizations, nonprofits, municipalities. I mean, you name it, it doesn't matter. Or it could just be trail organizations, trail clubs like Tamba, out of Tahoe, that sometimes have access to a bigger resource pool, of financial resources too, and can make things happen. So pretty stoked about it. And again, folks too, definitely, you want to get out to one of these Trails Master Plan tours. I mean, obviously it's a cool place, a hangout, for food, drink, and conversation. And that's exactly what we want you to have. So, as this is happening, Connected Communities is still moving forward, and we have some components right now, literally almost out our back door, that's almost going to make one of the first connections. And what is that?
Right. Yeah. So this is trail number 2 is what we're calling it for the time being. And it's part of our Mount Huff phase 2, the 37 additional miles of single track that we've been building on Mount Huff. This is our last year of construction on that one. So we'll be finished with all those trails at the end of this year. That includes the trail number 2 and 3. Trail number 2, we're 2 miles done, and we have roughly 5 miles to go. That's going to connect to the town of Taylorsville. So Quincy to Taylorsville will be our first connection, our first community connection, which feels great. Yeah, exactly. Definitely a big pat on our back. Yeah.
That's such a cool one too, because granted, for me, this would be more on the e-bike, but you could go to Taylorsville and have one of those awesome burgers there from Taylorsville Market
the
and
milkshakes.
Yeah, oh yes, and then then you're gonna have to have some time to sit before you can ride back. And at Taylorsville, same thing. If you're visiting Taylorsville or camping over there, you can ride up over into Quincy. Enjoy the downtown of Quincy and all of our little restaurants and brew pubs that we have to offer too. What a great, it's nice to be able to have that initial success, because for such a big legacy project, a lot of times, it's like a kid that has to clean their room, that they've let it become a disaster for a month. Where do I start?
Right.
I'm not going to make any headway. I'm not going to accomplish anything. And even if I work for an hour, mom's going to come in and go, you haven't done squat. but this connection's super important because it's real and it's going to happen pretty soon.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It shows that we're actually getting things done, and we can get things done. It's very positive for the rest of our connections. It makes it, drives us forward.
Do we have, and this is just would be broad stroke, do we have a guesstimate on right now for Huff, what the per mile cost is, for new construction? I mean, barring running into something that's like a huge rock pile or something like that. I would say $10 a foot is a pretty good example. I know $5 a foot is our big thing, and $5 a foot is powerful. But to take in all the stream water crossings and how much we've learned, I mean, it's crazy how good the trails have been and how much we're still learning. So $50,000+ then for a mile, to get a mile done.
Yeah.
Inflation has hit $5 a foot.
Yeah. Inflation has hit $5 a foot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I get $5 from the federal government and $5 from the public, it's perfect.
There you go.
Well, and folks too. I mean, Gina, that kind of tees it up for you as well. I mean, $50,000, roughly to build a brand new mile, never before trail. So now you can start seeing folks can see that your $50 does help. $100 helps. $1,000 helps. I mean, for those that can do more and guarantee it, you're literally part of building a new piece of trail, and your hard work, that literally pays off in other ways, can pay off in a little section of dirt that if you come up and dig dirt with us on one of our trail days, you may literally ride on a piece of brand new trail that only those people get to ride on that day that your funding actually helped do. I mean, you literally almost paid yourself, to come out and volunteer for that day to build new trails. So that's got to be kind of nice when it's at that more, level of understanding. And it's like, okay, that's a number I can get my head around.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really exciting for our larger donors to come out, and we like to give them a special tour and take them out on the trails and show them where their money's been going, and show them a really good time, because a lot of our donors do like to ride bikes, and they like to come out and just see what we've been up to. So we do have a lot of perks, including like that special ride. But there are other things that, you can get if you want to be in our vision circle, which is kind of like the higher tier of donating. We do have some VIP events, some VIP offerings. You can email me to find out more about those. But also even just like advanced entry to some of our races that do sell out, the Downeyville Classic. You could get an advanced rent entry code if that's something that you're interested in. You get updates and just other information that, part of our special little circle. So
And it is. And folks, she's mentioned it, the Vision Circle. And this is a program that, gosh, we've only had just for over a year. And obviously throughout the years, our events, the Donnieville Classic, the Lost and Found, Gravel Festival, the bottom line of those directly support the stewardship and all of our trail programs. We're not a for-profit promoter. So literally every net profit dollar that comes out of those events goes right back into the stewardship to all these programs, including Trails Master Plan, Connected Communities, and our day-to-day operations. So as always, we want you to attend our events. We've got Mountains to Meadows coming this year, which is a celebration of outdoor recreation, digging dirt, and having a good time with good people. And it'll be music, food, fun, and Gina, give us a scoop on that, because this is fun. This is something that we haven't done before on this scale. That doesn't have a race component to it. And that's very exciting.
Right. I mean, one might even call it a trail fest.
Ooh, there we go.
Where we can celebrate the trails and how to recreate on them locally, whether it's by horse or by running or hiking or by bike or by moto. Like, come hang out with us. Come party with us at this Mountains to Meadows Trails Fest and see how you can get involved and how you can get out there on the trails yourself. You can come and you can volunteer to dig dirt. You kind of get, I think, a discounted entry for that. You could or pay and be part of our VIP group where kind of everything is done for you. We're going to have a special little VIP party as well. So there are options for how involved you want to be. And then there's also going to be options for what you want to do when you're here. I think we're going to have shuttles. We're going to have some sort of groups that are going out on rides. We're going to try to bring in other elements like maybe some fishing and some swimming and, just other cool things to do. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And one might even call it a super epic. If you've ever been to any of our epics, you know how much fun we can have digging dirt and listening to music and just hanging out together and being excited about, dirt magic.
100%. Yeah, we're going to put this one on steroids. It's going to be a super epic on steroids. So, and that's, it's going to be great. We've already there's a lot of good interest in it already. And what's nice is we can really celebrate all trail user groups. Like you said, fishermen, hikers, equestrians, moto, overlanding. I mean, you name it. If you can get to a trail, go beside a trail, access a trail, or waterways, Mountains to Meadows Trail Fest is definitely for you. And it's a good opportunity too. If you've never experienced, one of our events without having a race component to it, this is a great way to come talk to all of us and see exactly what we do, how we do it. You can definitely talk to Gina if you're interested in the Vision Circle program, and that's one of our most important programs. I mean, we've been fortunate to have really, really good corporate sponsorships, throughout our history, especially more on the event side. But now branching out into more of the outdoor recreation community. But the Vision Circle is really important. And I think that name is it hits it to a T, because it really is, the vision of looking forward of what we can do together as a community. And that comes full circle, input, output. I mean, there we go. And it's for generations to come. And that's what we're trying to do. Once we go back, to the trails, as we all know, we're going to do dirt someday or the other. That full circle for generations to come is, I know. I was going to go somewhere else, and then I had to pull back from that one. It's going to get ugly.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. No, one of our new advisory members was saying that he was so excited about what we're doing, Josh. He was saying, I'm so excited to be able to be putting in this, maybe it's not going to be something that's even completed in my lifetime, but I think that our children and our children's children are going to be so happy that we had the foresight to build this system and to connect these communities. And they're going to be grateful for that long term. And I mean, we're already starting to see benefits for it now, but over the next 150 years, I think it's going to be really, really amazing. And we're going to be so glad that we started this process.
I concur. Hey, well, folks, too, there's a lot of this information, and we're getting a little short on time, but,
sorry.
sierratrails.org. Oh, no, this is always great having great conversation. I just know that we've talked about beer and food enough, too. Depending on when people are listening to this, are like, I'm getting thirsty and I'm getting a little hungry. But, it's a good thing about podcasts. You can take it with you. But, sierratrails.org, is a one-stop shop. That gives you all the information. It'll connect you to all of our events, including the Mountains to Meadows Trail Fest, or if you Google Quincy Mountains to Meadows, you'll find it that way too. It lets you know how to become a partner collective, one of our corporate philanthropic donors, and Vision Circle as well. Basically, all the information you need is there. Always follow our social media. And that'll keep you updated, because we definitely don't want you to miss one of our events, one of our trail work days, even just the normal weekend epics when we bring folks out to dig dirt. Our volunteer army, we couldn't be the success that we've seen for these past 20 years, and reaching almost 200 miles of brand new trail that have never existed before, maintaining over 2,000, hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours. That's our volunteer army, and that's all you folks out there listening now. So you definitely want to be part of that. I know that one of the things that we're trying to bring into the Mountains to Meadows Trail Fest is an escape quicksand competition. And from what I understand, Gina, you have some expertise, and Michelle even has some words and thoughts on quicksand as well. So yeah, let's talk about quicksand real quick. So.
Well, I was gonna say, Michelle, I was wondering if we could get like quicksand spots put on the maps, like as a hazard avoidance, or just like as a area to recreate in.
Absolutely, yeah, of course, and then maybe some sticks next to the
just
spots
in case,
so they can be safe.
Yes,
we probably have to have Wile E. Coyote and some of the other cartoon characters on those signs, because they, as we all grew up, they let us know that quicksand's, real and can be very dangerous.
Although I think we were researching it and nobody has ever actually died from drowning. It's more of like a suffocating.
I think, they kind of scared us for no reason. At least I remember
know. Well, that makes me feel
terrified.
so much better.
Really?
That I'm,
I know more about quicksand from my elementary school than I do about taxes. So I feel like I was really well educated. You know how many times I filed taxes versus encountered quicksand, and I feel like that maybe,
But filing taxes feels like you're in quicksand.
It does.
So
it does.
Maybe they were just preparing you for the emotional
quicksand.
Yeah.
So is paying your utility bill right now as well. And I won't mention any companies.
We're not going to name.
Because one or more of them actually can actually help us and become a partner. So we gotta be nice. So Gina, then what would be your biggest fear then of quicksand?
Something filming me stuck in quicksand, and then just like, I'm sure, putting it on the internet for everybody to make fun of me being stuck in quicksand, because it's not that dangerous, and I guess it's not that deep. I feel like I was lied to. So yeah.
I feel like mine is, and I must have seen this in a movie, but like being in quicksand and someone handing me a snake to get out of quicksand.
The snake would help you get out?
They're like, here, get out of the quicksand, and they hand me
and you think it's like a vine, but it's a snake.
I don't know. That's what I picture happening, which I'm sure I saw.
Sounds like a terrible dream.
Yeah.
I think I actually did see that in a cartoon or a movie.
Yeah,
It's something.
where it's like they hand you, like you're trying to get a vine so that you can climb out of it, but it's not a vine, it's a snake. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something there for that.
There's
sands and snakes.
There's a good component to that though, because if it was a constrictor, the snakes that squeeze, as long as it could just get a hold of you, hopefully not around your neck.
Right.
Once it's got a hold of you, you don't even have to hold on anymore, and then the person has the other end, can pull you out. So.
Well, can a snake get out of quicksand? They don't have any like limbs to spread themselves out or to
We need to get some snakes and some quicksand.
Okay, I feel like we need another podcast episode about snakes and quicksand.
Yes. But I think we found a great new competition for Quincy Mountains to Meadows, in the Trail Fest itself.
Absolutely.
Maybe a children's style swimming pool full of quicksand, and we'll see how quickly people can get out of quicksand.
I think I'd be really good at that.
I would be excited to try that. Yeah. I want to test my mettle on quicksand.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. I can already see that the gears are turning now, and those that help us with our events are turning. Well, Gina, Michelle, really appreciate the time today. Obviously here we are in the middle of the workday, and I've pulled you guys away from doing what you do, and that's obviously everything trails and charitable giving. But appreciate you being here. I think it's very important for our listeners out there to know the inner workings of the stewardship, because many times when they're on the trail, they know that either our trail crew dug the dirt, built the trail, or our volunteers, help maintain it. And they're using the trail. But many times they don't get to see behind the scenes of what it really takes, to build a brand new trail. Or they're trails that existed for, over 100 years, like in Downeyville, since it was just native peoples, and then when gold came in. And then we've just piggybacked onto those, revived them, and saved the ones we could. But for brand new trail, a lot of times I think it's important for people to know that, how deep their donation goes, and what it supports. And not only just the trail itself, that's the payoff, and for future generations. But they're also hoping with economic development. I mean, we live in, I think, one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth. Employment can be challenging in small rural communities. That's a big component of connected communities. So it's nice to have talented younger people like yourselves that join the organization and will be around much longer than some of us. But it's good for people to know that their contributions, their support, helps us internally as well. And that's super important so we can keep this going. So any final thoughts, Gina, just a roundabout on charitable giving? And
I think you said it really well. I mean, thank you so much for everything that you do to support us as an organization, whether you're listening to this podcast, whether you've donated, whether you've come out and dug dirt. We so appreciate you, and we wouldn't be able to be here and talk about all this fun stuff and play in the dirt and without it. So just thank you so much for everything that you contributed to our organization, and continue. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, I guess I would echo what Gina said. I think something that makes us so powerful as an organization is you guys coming up and helping us. I think since I get to do that aspect of it, where I talk about what you guys do when your volunteers come up and help us with your donations, and I get to talk about it all the time, and I can tell that it's just a huge strength that Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship has. So you're a very large part of this whole thing. So keep coming out.
Keep on keeping on. That's right.
Exactly.
And practice your escape from quicksand skills.
Exactly.
Because that's coming out.
Well,
Gina,
necessary.
Michelle, thank you so much for joining
Thank
Dirt
you, Marty.
Magic. Yep.
This was
And
great.
yeah, folks, look forward to episode 3 that'll be coming at you soon. And as always, hey, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah, thank you.
You've been listening to Dirt Magic, a podcast brought to you by the good people of the Sierra Buttes Trail Stewardship. For future and past shows, visit dirtmagicpodcast.com or search for us on your favorite listening platform. Music by The Saddle Tramps. This show was brought to you in part by the good people at Shimano, bringing people closer to nature and closer to people. To support the SBTS, visit sierratrails.org. And again, thanks for listening.